Hello and welcome to Rila. And you might be wondering, why are we in Rila? What reason would we have to be hanging out in Rila? They don't even, I've at least always played nations that have a focus tree. I don't see any focus tree right here. Well, there's lore of there's lore here. And, Rila does get events through here that no one sees, because when you're playing, you don't see the events they get. So let's see the events. We're not gonna read this or the city stuff, and this literally is the same as what happens when you can just go down and see the description for them. But we will be taking a look at their lore. The Rilan boiling point. It was a rainy day in Rila, and from his palace, Duke Michael was contemplating. Does he have a description? I didn't think so, but I had to check. The streets of his city as raindrops fell against the windows. He was in a somber mood. The day seemed calm. All rainy days did. After all, even the angriest mob hates getting wet. But he knew it wouldn't last. Tomorrow the crowds would sing revolutionary songs, write slogans on the walls, and spit behind nobles and guards, and his advisors would come to the palace to badger him about beating them back into obedience. He was tired. His conscience was weighing increasingly heavy on his shoulders. The truth was plain and simple, and yet it pained him to discover himself so foolish. He had always been at odds with his family. The discreet dynasty had always been so backward-looking. They had no idea as to what the world should become. They only saw tradition and Aquilia as their personal property. There was no place for popular consent, greater ideals of statecraft, or even a conception of life being more than obedient labor. Those ideas, any understanding of the great truths of the world, really, were held not by them, but by the likes of Karimsky or Varani. Michael always saw the Republic as an experiment that had been worth trying, even if it cost to his family. His birth didn't leave him much choice in life, but it gave him some power. His power had been the sword of ducal power, yet he tried to subvert it, transforming it into a tool to carve something new. If he had bore any other name than discreet, he would have been executed for treason already, but the family let him indulge in hosting philosophers and artists, if the Bastilles would operate and if Rila was stable. Not enough, he thought, and he indulged more, helping the Republicans bring about. And what now? The Bastilles were ashes, and Rila was clamoring for revolution. All because he followed his ideals, blind to the fact that his friends, those reasonable partisans of compromise, reform, and freedom, in either a monarchy or a peacefully installed republic, were drowned in the cries of blood. All because of these enraged, the rabid members of this Concordiatist club. It was them who resonated with the people, who spoke to their lower instincts. They were everywhere in Rila now, robbing, pressuring, killing, and worse. They wouldn't stop until all of the discreet family lay dead in a pit. Yet, maybe cooler heads would prevail in the end. Maybe the beast of old had to be put down before a fledgling freedom could emerge. Maybe his conscience had been right after all. Maybe. The Republicans have done more bad than good for Rila? Was the royal blood that was spilled so pure then? Yeah, let's and we actually are gonna have more to see. We reach out to the revolutionary clubs. So does that mean there's... Oh, that means there's gotta be lore for this path and the other path. Oh my goodness, so much lore. Why? Why is there so much lore for this for this guy? And I'm gonna see if there's stuff for all the other guys too after this. So this is just but the start, just but the beginning of our journey in the tiny nations around Aquilia. All right, that'll take 14 days to go through. Okay, we'll be chilling for a little bit then. And you also might be wondering, wait, why do you have the debug on? Well, that's so I can force them to go down the path that that actually, you know. Aquilia? Sorry, my man. I need you to do the events that I can actually see. So, yeah. Okay, bye. Have fun. I somehow have complete control over you. Don't ask how. The Revolutionary Clubs. After weeks of careful planning, the Committee of Public Safety met for the very first time. The place of gathering was the mansion of Count de Beckener, one of the rare noblegrifts sympathetic to the revolution. While some in attendance sneered at the mention of his name, he had been integral to the guaranteeing safety and secrecy for the event. The committee was the first real attempt in years to federate the various Republican organizations known in Rila as the Revolutionary Clubs. Of those, there were many, and of all stripes. Some, the Duchy to Justice, or the Club de la Raison, were more than willing to meet the monarchists halfway, if it meant the perennity of the new institutions. Others were simply united in their conclusions of the failure of the monarchy and a need to end, some even socialist in nature. Others, like the Club des Helles, the Fanal, or the Club Patriot, had more precise ideas as to what the future republic would have to look like to be safe. However, the most important group of all was the Concordials, a group of radicals, single-minded in ensuring that the Second Republic would not be crushed, whatever the cost, and if the Republic was to not be crushed, the monarchy would have to be, brutally and utterly. Reaching a compromise to make such a loose coalition had been a hurdle, but it had been accomplished. They were there, 226 representatives in attendance to plan and execute a revolution. They're something. Oh, and oh wow, this is a lot of things. So we have just non-affiliated clubs, constitutional monarchists, extremist clubs, and modernist clubs. The Committee of Public Safety was the main governing body of what used the Rilan Revolutionary Front before its eventual downfall. Though unlike the front, the committee has managed to reorganize itself and even set up a secret assembly in a Republican noble's mansion. However, the committee still includes many of the problems that previously plagued it during the revolution, such as intense disagreement debates between the extremist clubs and the cordials of moderate clubs. Now, I'm not gonna worry about that for now because I have other things to do. Sure, let's do some Republican propaganda. The fire riot. Shortly after the collapse of the Grifoni Empire, the Kingdom of Aquilia experienced a revolution of its own. The revolution itself abolished the discrete monarchy and resulted in the creation of the First Aquilian Republic with Theodore Verini at its head. Unfortunately, only 5 years after the Republic was created, Marshal Brotherite led a counter-revolution, which resulted to the discrete's restoration. In spirit of restoration, there are still many within the country who refuse to let go of the dream of the Aquilian Republic, thus making Queen Morset hold on the country's tenuous at best. Republican propaganda. Today, representatives of the Societe Justice presented to the committee informations about the patrol plans and schedules of the security forces in Rila for the coming week. A strong debate was held as to what could be done with it. Some extremists from the courtiers wished to use the information to organize an uprising. However, the consensus was that it was still too early, and that information could be used for propaganda purposes. In the end, the propagandists prevailed, and the Concordia's plan was voted down, not without some name-calling. The representatives of the Club du Verdevrol was tasked to use their network. within Rila's print shops and bookstores to stockpile Republican propaganda in the forms of posters, banners, and notices. The Fanal was then tasked with using their followers, mostly illiterate workers, to insert the material in the streets. Most of the committee, the information were in fact provided by Duke Michael himself. Members of the more reform-minded faction reached a deal with him to spread the word of republicanism to the capital. The security forces had in fact been given orders to clear the streets and stand down, effectively turning a blind eye to the whole operation. Revolutionary support will increase by 3%. Woo! More revolutionaries! Let's go! We need those revolutionaries. Yeah. This is crazy. Like, why is there so much lore here? I knew there was, literally all I knew was that there was a little bit, like, that there was an event that popped up at the beginning. I expected me to be, like, cutting out a whole bunch of content and be like, okay, come back and I'll show you some more stuff later, but no, this is just continuous. The Appellation d'Orange Audifite. After years of careful negotiation with the Aquilian Minister of Agriculture, Farmers, and Wine Distributors, the discrete government has established the Appellation Original Affitsi, or APA for short. The APA creates geographical areas in which wine production, respecting a certain tradition of craft and vine cultivation, receive an official label with a specific name. Wine sold under these names would be officially authenticized and could be consumed with complete trust. And its Aquilian quality. The APA system has been combined with additional tariffs on imported wines to further favor local production. Various institutions, such as the Académie Royale du Vin Adequé, the Revue des Vins, or the Committee Royale de Propaganda Vicole, have been founded in both control and promoted Aquilian wines. Like Aquilia proper, Rila has long suffered from counterfeit wine and brand usurpation from foreign winemakers. The ducal authorities have naturally joined the initiative. New wines are now protected, such as the beloved Relic, the Fief's Rielans, the Regeline, the Cotes de Palais, and the Bleen Joa. The APA adoption in Rila has been met with a mass support, and many cities have organized wine tasting and festivals dedicated to wine and grand display of fine Aquilian culture. No longer shall our beaks taste the bitter taste of unauthenticity. Santa et in Aquilian whatever. Okay, 13 days left. Look, I don't care about any of this stuff. It's not lore. I only care about lore. All this silly non-lore things. No, nobody cares about any of you. Get out of here. You're not lore. Let's smuggle weapons, though. Smuggling weapons is lore. So it does matter. The Hunt of the Rupins. The Committee of Public Safety was rocked by a very disorderly and agitated debate. The issue at law had been a proposal from the Concordia representatives, who argued that one of the cause of the First Republic's downfall had been the support from the wealthy to the monarchy. As such, he posted, any griff of wealth, whose loyalty to the Republican cause is not beyond doubt, should be made a target and robbed of their wealth to fund the revolution. While the proposal was at first met with grumbles or shuckles from the moderates and the reformist ranks, it resonated among many club representatives from the lower classes and sub-socialists. They scolded the moderates and reformists for their unwillingness to follow through on the revolutionary ideal. After the attack was made against their rivals, the courtiers loudly heckled them and rallied around the proposal. Some moderates wavered, while others tried to defend their reputation. Some left the meeting in protestation. In the end, the proposal was adopted. The debate had some immediate consequences. Members in various clubs decided to join the courtier cause, reinforcing their lead in the committee further. In the following weeks, members of the courtiers could begin organizing raids on the so-called Rupins, wealthy nobles of Rila, and recruiting the populace to join in the looting. So this does increase revolutionary support, which is, a thing. I mean, I was really just wanting to, you know, see the event, but whatever, rude. Alright, go ahead and do that so I can see that event. Now this is genuinely just making it harder for me to succeed because, well, they're gonna try to increase monarchist support instead. But, you know, events. The apparatus of freedom. In Rila, the heart of the revolution beats strongly. There, the cause of the revolution is supported by steel resolve, especially among the proud courtiers. However, what the Republicans have in strength of character, they lack in weaponry. And while one can argue that Aquilian republicanism is bulletproof, the revolutionary bodies are not. The cause requires guns. The committee explored many plans to gather weapons from the local arsenals of gun runners, but it ultimately failed. The arsenals in Rila were too well guarded, or too loyal to the regime. Armed with this, members of various clubs packed up and crossed the borders to Aquilia, linking with the Republican lodges there. They consented, of course, to help, of course, but still it wasn't enough to consider their mission even remotely successful. So gnashing their beaks, the Republicans indebted themselves to the variety of unsavory ponies and grifts from all over. Large sums were paid in exchange for jamming guns, poorly assembled contraband, guns produced by socialists, or some that were in state of the art. Indeed, should you have had them during the First Revolution. The cohorters smuggled it all back to Rila with difficulty. Some crates were lost in the border crossing after Reland Border Patrol Griff spotted one of their groups, but all revolutionaries managed to finally come back to the Republican compound in Dilvan. There, despite their pained looks of disappointment, they were greeted with cheers by their comrades, now in arms. The cause finally had claws. Revolutionary support increases. Woo! Royal Army assaults revolutionary strongholds. What? Why? In the early morning, the Royal Army struck in several places across the Duchy, arresting or killing hundreds of suspected revolutionaries. The brutish, I almost said the British display. Okay, you're British now to me. I don't know. The brutish display has dismayed the people, but at the very least, there's less revolutionaries to deal with. But I like the revolutionaries. No, the revolutionaries are good. They're cool. I like them. They're chill. They're nice guys. No, don't mess with my revolutionaries. The royal visit. Well, that dinner certainly was... Yes, let's stick to that. That dinner was. Our Duke's dear brother graced us with his presence during the dinner, and at the topic of republicanism came up, we planned to deal with it in the usual calm manner, so as to not inflame tensions. It seemed Morset had other ideas, though, and lashed out, denouncing all that who would dare to harbor such sentiments as traitors, deserving only of the guillotine. His Majesty may have scared some Griffin Straits, but a lot more are now dismayed by the brutish tactic. How dare. Now, you really have angered us with that. You know that? We are angry now. How dare you insult our ideals? We're storming the Bastilles now. Some good news, the king has sent 3 regiments of soldiers from the capital to help shore up things here. We're gonna need it, considering how Morset has chosen to deal with the rebel situation. Yeah, we're gonna need it, but not for any, you know, we're not going to be using it to fight the revolutionaries. I'll just say that. The storming of the Bastilles. Well, some knew Rila as a place of fine wines, great coasts, and theater, but to the Republicans it was also a prison. The restored regime wished to maintain prisoners away from the historical center of the revolution. It didn't stay idle either over the years since the end of the revolution, sending continuous more grifts to Rila. These prisoners were gathered in a few fortresses that would serve as the fortified prison, the Bastilles. As time went on, they became the living symbol of the royal oppression in Rila, standing high as a perpetual reminder of where lovers of liberty would go to die in darkness of cotton. The committee, united in this at least, sought to put an end to these prisons. They planned a mass-scale attack on all Bastilles with the following objectives: starting fires and fights at various points in towns to distract the troops, gather mobs of sympathizers, overwhelm the defenses, free the prisoners, and loot as many guns as possible. Oh, the plan was executed. Mobs of Republicans assembled and, led by club members, marched on the fortresses. In some places they found sympathetic or cowardly guards who simply refused to engage them, opening the gates in exchange for their safety. Everywhere else fighting followed, and it was bloody and bruised that the Republicans freed their comrades and common prisoners alike. That day the Republicans grew in numbers by the hundreds, and many tears of joy were shed as long-lost friends and parents met again. Sadly, in the Florino Bastille, the mob assembled by the local Cacardis suffered greatly at the claws of the guards and butchered every griff inside of the frenzied revenge. The news alarmed the authorities, who scrambled to crack down on the clubs, but information was lacking. The ducal palace was panicking, yet one griff still stayed calm. Duke Michael himself. Some of his advisors saw it as a sign of his resolve in the face of danger. Sadly for them, it was not because of the strength of character, but because he knew beforehand. After all, 6 fortresses don't fall in a single day to angry mobs because of sheer revolutionary fervor. The first step towards revolution. The extremist clubs gain more seats. No, let's just go with the extremist, because we're really pushing for them so far. I also, if there's a different event for each club succeeding, oh my gosh. Because why would there, like, is this like a thing for the future? Or am I genuinely, like, is this a different event depending on which club? Because if it is, oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to play this so many times. But I mean, seriously, I am, like, geesh. Like, oh my goodness. This is gonna take a while. Weapons from the capital. A large delivery of weapons has come from Aquilia, courtesy of the Royal Armory. With leadership tensions rising, these weapons likely will be invaluable for the coming months. Magnificy. But for now, I'll see you back in probably 50 days after we get this event. And because I think I should be done with events for a little while. So I'll see you in a bit. And we are back. The Chedelet raids. The secret police has been on the move recently. Through their usual methods, and savory as they are, they have revealed several revolutionary headquarters and raided them in the middle of the night. Hopefully this will be enough to thwart the rebels. This will force the rats into the open. Yeah, that's what my people think I want. Yes. That is, most certainly true. But we should be one thing away from being able to do these extremist clubs. This should be the last event that I should get from them. So I'm actually just going to stay with you for a little bit, and then we'll jump away for like a while until I get the actual full revolution. And we'll just hang out until we get this event and this event. So yeah. A lot of content for the Duchy of Rila, despite it not having a focus trait. Really, really cool. And yeah, now we can guarantee republicanism. Only available if one of the 4 clubs has more than 130 seats. The debates end. Plus, friends within the pony community in my nation, the Pony March. The revolution will survive and win. Okay, in lore, I win this revolution, okay. We defeat the monarch. The debates end. Yesterday, a new roll call was held in the Committee for Public Safety. To the surprise of many in attendance, one of the clubs now gained a majority, absorbing many smaller but like-minded clubs. After the roll call, the session fell into semi-silence, a far cry from all previous sessions. There were some speeches, calm ones, but a recess was quickly called. Many groups gathered hastily to chat, some worried and others enthusiastic. When the committee went back to in session, there were a few speeches. Club leaders were congratulating the new majority for bringing some clarity to the purpose of their group. Some pointed to the necessity of fair debate and respect for one another. The speech was respectfully applauded, some less than others, prompting more worried looks among some representatives. Finally, the leader of the new majority rose. In his speech, he thanked the clubs for their support, but called for unity. It was no longer a time for half measures. The ideals of the Republic required action, and no more endless debates and planning. They were ready. Yes, we are ready. Alright, friends within the ponies. The Pony March, a grand march through the countryside, took place this week. Ponies numbering in thousands marched from Pellis to Rila, holding royal banners and placards with pro-royalist slogans on them. In every village they passed, more ponies joined them, and as they reached Rila, they filled the city square, singing the royal hymn and declaring their loyalty to the crown. Glad to see our equine friends are still supporting us. I mean, I'm not, personally. But yeah, I'll see you back in if I get another event or in like 150 days. See you in a bit. Alright, we're back. Early this morning, the Duke fled Rila after the streets were blocked by revolutionaries, and several military units declared for the Republic. Things are still chaotic and the road ahead is long, but the jewel of the North is in our claws. It is clear the first great step has been taken. And yeah, we put the Committee of Public Safety in charge, specifically. It looks like a lot of people have decided to stay with him. The Second Aquilian Revolution, and we get declared war on, yeah. As I expected. And I presume that's the end of important, lore. Oh. We got reinforcements for the capital while we're at war with the capital. That's interesting. That's always good. Yeah, in reality, I have no chance here. But, you know, I need to actually, even have generals in my army. That would help. Things like that. But anyways, yeah. So there we go. I am tempted to, see Constitution. In fact, this is either the... I'll be back in a moment. I'm gonna... Oh, this is gonna take a little while. I'm gonna see if going with the constitutional monarchist makes him not flee, since those are his allies, and if there's a different event comes from that. So yeah, not only did I not get a different event for having it as most popular, I couldn't even get it above 130. It's physically impossible. 105 is literally the highest I could get Michael's allies to. But hopefully, in a more full version, we can get, if this nation gets a focus tree, which I hope it does one day, Michael's allies could take over, and they can make a constitutional monarchy after taking over, and, the extremists and the moderates, this actually has so much lore to it. I really want this to get fully fleshed out, get a full amount of, lore set up within it. I think there's a lot that could be done here. And I'm really excited for that to be continued on with in the future. But yeah, for now, well, I did not expect to say this, but this has been part 1 of 2 with Rila, as in the next episode, which should be the last one, we will be seeing what happens if we stay with if we try to work with the monarchy. Also, I'm gonna see if there's an event for them being a republic and me wanting to be a Republican as well, and I'll throw that in as well if there is one. So, I'll see you in the next one, and as always, oh no. If you liked this video, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.